Another installment of a Game of the Year candidate so far. Wizards versus Wizards versus Cavs was one of them. The Warriors versus the Rockets. That was it, way long ago. And Christmas Day, double overtime, and then Christmas Day. What's it called?
Cavs versus the Golden State Warriors.
Thank you. Why?
What is going on here?
Can't
Is the hat preventing
It's really restricting my brain.
circulation?
I don't want to deal with this today. So
What?
it's a little.
I don't think it looks any different.
No, well, first of all, there's no product in it, and it's just garbage. Look at that. It's trash. I have to go see my girl at the barbershop.
Barbershop or salon?
Barbershop, actually. It's a Shorty's barbershop in West Hollywood. It's literally called Shorty's barbershop.
I don't mind. I go to a salon.
Literally
Mine's
called
salon.
barbershop.
Not saloon. Not saloon like West Hollywood, like Westworld, but salon.
Saloon. What game happened? Cavs versus Wizards.
Cavs versus the Wizards.
You take this.
The Cavs versus the Wizards was a
I'm
phenomenal game, to say the least. The Wizards didn't come out on top, but nonetheless, they proved to be contenders with one of the, not arguably, the best team in the Eastern Conference. But this is something that we've discussed before, Jason. Their home form is unquestionable. They look fantastic at home. They are a team that undoubtedly are going to try and push even the best of their opponents to the final stages of the game. John Wall looks great. They come up against a team that, if they really want to set their sights as high as possible, they're going to have to overcome this team. They're going to have to force a problem. And based on what I've seen already this season, hot take, not so hot, probably like lukewarm take, is that they have every possibility of getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's my thought on this. I mean, of course, the Raptors are going to be there or thereabouts. The Celtics look pretty good. But the Wizards, consistency-wise, have shown that they have what it takes to put a string of games together. As I mentioned, their home form has been great.
They snapped. It was a 17-game home winning streak that was snapped by the Cavaliers, and those 17 games came against some quality opponents along the way. I jumped far too many conclusions about 15 games in, because it seemed like with every game in the first quarter of the season, 20 games in, they were getting worse.
Yeah.
What clicked was Otto Porter's shooting. If you look at his shot chart, it's actually off the roof. He's the highest three-point percentage maker of the season. That's probably the worst way I could have put it, but he's shooting 45.9% from three.
Yep.
That's absurd. And they're feeding him in a way that has turned him into a lethal extra scoring option. Now, that helps a lot when you play small alongside John Wall and Bradley Beal. John Wall's mid-range jumper has gotten much better. I like the shot selection he's taking. And Bradley Beal, we all know, can score. It's just, could he stay healthy?
Yeah.
In this game, though, so I think the Wizards are as real as the Raptors were last year. So I don't want to be harsh and just kind of say, like, does it matter because the Cavs are coming? That's not the fair way to talk about it, right? What I was confused about is, for one, why don't you foul LeBron? I mean, I know he can shuck up that shot and he can possibly get the three-point shooting foul, but the second that Kevin Love throws that pass, you got to foul LeBron. His back was to the basket.
Yeah.
That's a 2 points. That's a 2 shots, and then maybe he makes 2 of those, and you call timeout, you advance the ball. But the other big takeaway that I had is LeBron fouled out, first time in about 2 years, and you couldn't beat the Cavs without LeBron in overtime. That's a big problem.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that went right during that game, but I think for the Wizards in itself, one of the things that I thought was the biggest standout, credit to B-Ball Breakdown for this one, the pick and roll with Gortat and John Wall, because it had Kyrie Irving looking lost on defense amongst his counterparts, and it was nice to see systematic offense flowing from Scotty Brooks that we've seen him do with the Oklahoma City Thunder and Serge Ibaka and Russell Westbrook. Actually, it was more like the bench with Serge Ibaka and James Harden 5 years ago. 5 years
when
ago.
When they got to the championship, yeah. The one point I wanted to go back to LeBron James, his ability to redeem himself in a matter of seconds was remarkable. It's a decent shot, but it's just the ability, the confidence.
I know.
The confidence. And this is a guy who, without Ray Allen, they would never have been able to beat the Spurs that year because he couldn't make the shot at the end, regardless of the fact that he made a game-tying shot in that game nonetheless towards the end. And, of course, the guy had the confidence to just take a shot merely seconds after nearly blowing the game. And that is something that, regardless of how many times we can talk about LeBron or how many, the limitless amount of compliments that we throw at him, that was just remarkable, to be able to have that confidence and that clutch gene that Skip Bayless seems
Doesn't
to
think
he
he
doesn't have to do that. But yeah, I think that's a good point that you make. Is that it's going to be it's in any sport, it's devastating to be on the receiving end of someone getting themselves back into the game with merely seconds left because you have to motivate yourself again to go into overtime, regardless of what stage you're at. Like in world football, if someone scores before halftime, it's known as the worst time they concede a goal because you're going in, you're like, Jesus, man, we were up.
Is
and
it
then
the best time to score a
It's
goal?
the best time to score a goal if you're the other team, but it's the
time to
worst if
concede.
because you have to go and think about it. And the same thing happens at the end of a game when you're just so close to beating the best team in the Eastern Conference to push it forward. Like, imagine the conversation after this if they beat them.
If they beat them, it would have been a little bit different of a conversation, but they could have beat them.
No, absolutely.
What I found interesting was a couple of things, too. So LeBron, after the game, he said it was a travel, and that's why he missed the layup.
Yeah.
He's like, if I'm being honest, I traveled, and the extra step threw me off. I'm not sure what kind of answer you're looking for in that one, but that was, I thought, an interesting answer, to say the least. And then, of course, they were quick. So I'm going to go to the second. I didn't put numbers next to any of the elements. My bad, guys. So it's the second A element. It's the Tyronn Lue tweet, or the quote via the tweet, that had after the game. Ty Lue on Kevin Love because he had a good game. We're going to trade him tonight, 39-12. Yeah, we're going to trade him. And LeBron, too. He said it was trash, and we'll throw that in post. He said it was trash that was going to happen. And what was interesting is Frank Isola from the New York Daily News, a writer I actually really like, he still wrote an article it was penned at 2 a.m. this morning, at least it would say on the website, that Love is still going to be in trades for Anthony. And it's tough. Who do you trust in that situation? Love just had a great game. And LeBron and Tyronn Lue said he's definitely not being traded. However, I know how much it is up to LeBron. It's also up to the GM, but LeBron is kind of the GM in that situation.
Yeah, it's
the Wizards, 4th seed, right? I do not think the Wizards are better than the Raptors still. I do not think the Wizards are better than the Celtics. What I do think is that they have established themselves as a team that, with home court advantage, can advance into the later stages of the playoffs, compared to fighting for an 8 seed and getting blown out by a Raptors or Cavs. Now I see them. I'll pivot. We'll pivot to them making a series out of many of the teams they could face, and it should be interesting. But there's a lot that can happen. So their away form, they're 8-14. And if you want to win playoff series, you need to win on the road.
It's a must.
Look at the Raptors last year. If they wanted to really make that a series against the Cavs, they did win 2 at home, not discrediting those 2 wins. They needed to take one in Cleveland, but that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So we're nearing it. Too bad this game was so great. If it wasn't for some football game on Sunday.
I was going to talk about that. One of the reporters that I believe was quoted on a CBS article, Kevin Harlan, who went to he covered the game in Westwood One, the channel, and then he came straight from there and went to Washington and covered the game on TNT. And he quoted that it was the best regular season game he's ever seen. The best regular game he's ever seen. Now, comments like that just completely blow you away. But then you really need to go into your memory bank and think, like, put aside all the images you just looked at in Pornhub and think to yourself, what is those?
The Knicks lost to the Lakers yesterday, 121-107, in the greatest game
They lost to the
I've
Lakers.
ever seen. The greatest regular season game?
So that's what I'm saying. It makes you think. And I went back and looked at some of them. I mean, that I personally have enjoyed watching, but it's just, it depends. It's all about that personal connection. I know it stumped me when he said it. I mean, I think you need to spend a good day thinking to yourself.
Yeah, because I mean, the things that come to mind aren't great games. They were great moments. So like, Jordan returns to the Garden, double nickel game. It's like, okay, but that wasn't a great basketball game. It was a great Jordan game. Kobe game. It was a great Kobe game.
Good point.
Well, so, I mean, I think it was.
Last season, the Steph Curry game was one of the most enjoyable games I've ever watched.
The
Against
Thunder Warriors last year, I still think was a better game than this, just because of it defying everything. But we're still stuck in 2015 through 17. Like, we have to go back to like the 90s, the 2000s.
So that's why I think it's tough, though.
AI crossing up Jordan, like those little moments and stuff like that.
Do you remember that as vividly in your head? As like, I mean, it's just all of that, the thought of history. Like, if you were. For instance, if you're at a game, like there's games that I remember in my head when I think about Celtic and I was at them and I can put myself in that moment and be like, oh, what a phenomenal game. And there's some games that I watch on TV that I remember when I look back, those were so good a game. Like, what was I feeling at that moment? Like, that's what I'm trying to think. Whereas the recency bias comes into it. Like, I remember sitting, I think we were in full-fledged flight mode in YouTube where all of our basketball clips were doing so good and everyone was loving our coverage and I was watching it. I'm feeling on a high and then next minute, Steph Curry, in contention, threw up a 35-foot three-pointer
He made it.
He put one up to tie the game, send it in overtime, and then put in another one to win it. And I'm just thinking to myself, I literally was like, this is a remarkable sport. Why have I not been watching this for 20 plus years of my life? And that's why I like that game.
Because you're not a Knicks fan.
And hopefully I never will be.
The Heat are doing well.
The Heat are doing well.
Heat
I'm happy. And I was.
They're rising.
I'm always having my eye on the Heat. I mean, that's another team that, regardless of what way they move, I don't think I am so so deep in my fandom with them that I'll
Kohler?
never be able to understand it or hope.
Look who's here.
Well, Dave Kohler's waiting to
Look,
come
Dave
in.
Kohler.
So I don't even know what to say
Dave,
about it, because
you're
Dave
18
Kohler
minutes
just
early.
Simply called me out.
He's so punctual.
He's ready.
Comment below, like, favorite, subscribe. Cavs vs. Wizards, is it the best regular season basketball game you've ever seen?
Interesting.
It's a bold statement from Kevin Harlan, but we like bold statements,
We like
Francis.
hot takes.
We live for bold statements. I said like, favorite, and subscribe, but if you didn't do it again.
Well, they can go to our social and they can tell us whether or not they agree. It's Francis_Maxwell, Francis M. Maxwell on Instagram.
They have to.
Jason Rubin 91 on both.
People used to write in the comments section, legend has it, Jason and Francis respond to the comments. Now, I don't read the comments anymore. I made that whole thing at the end of December when I talked about that. By the way, my mental well-being is not the same. I like reading the comments.
life.
I used to love reading. No, I still would love to read them. But if you want to and you want to send me your comment, just send it to my Twitter.
Yeah.
Or at Francis M. Maxwell _host_TYT.